Peace, everybody. It's the Lord Head Cold World. I'm over here kicking it with my main man, Jay Wiggs. What's good, sir?
It's good, Brody.
Can't call it, as usual. Just want to welcome everybody to another episode of Brody Sports Talk here. It's episode 15, BST 15 or Bestie 15. We're pushing on here, man. We're doing pretty good here. We're past the national average, man. A lot of people, like I said, fall off after 7 episodes, man. But it looks like we're here to stay.
Hey, we doubled 7. We're 15. That means we got to get to 30 next, man.
Right. And we're pushing our views here as well. As you already know here, Brodies, we're over 350,000 views and counting. So definitely want to say thank you for your love and support here. Still appreciate your donations here for our Stars for Stars Foundation, that our fundraiser that we're doing here for the local youth here. Every star donated is 1 cent to the pot, and we're looking to provide financial assistance to our local DMV boys and girls clubs here, as we said here, for financial aid for sports equipment. And like we said before, you never know, you might be sponsoring the next superstar here. But to go ahead and get started, if you've been living under a rock, you may not know, but the Brodies are all over it.
We got some big news.
First on the scene. First it was Adam Schefter, then it was the Brodies. Okay, and that's Deebo to DC, baby. The Washington Commanders have addressed a major need, which was wide receiver. They traded with the San Francisco 49ers, who look to be in a rebuild mode, maybe, because they're looking to kind of drop all their players. But the Skins basically trade a 5th round draft pick. I mean, that's a day 3 pick in the draft for Deebo Samuel, who's 29 and still in his prime. By some, a gadget player, to quote you last week, Wiggs, but he's, one of those gadget players that you can use on offense and really take your offense to a whole nother level. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers offense was, pretty dynamic. I think we were top 5 easily with Deebo Samuel. Obviously, you had other weapons, but easily a top 15. I'd say wide receiver right now, maybe. It depends on the naysayers out there, but
that's interesting. We might have to do a top 15, top 20 list.
Yeah,
before the season starts,
there, maybe.
Okay,
but great.
And hold up, cuz. You didn't start the Deebo to DC with his nickname, man. So don't try to switch up now. Now that we got him, because we said this
last week. If you watched this last week, I said, hey, if he comes to Washington, we may have to change that. He's no longer saucy, sassy Samuel. He's just sassy Samuel. Okay, we moved the saucy.
Okay. We took the saucy out, so now he's sassy Samuel.
I can't wait till week 1 to see what this dude comes to the stadium wearing, because this dude's probably going to have on like some leather booty shorts and a halter top.
Yeah,
but we just got like 2 touchdowns.
I was gonna say we just got rid of Kuz, another fashion forward person. He went to Milwaukee Bucks in a trade. Now we get Deebo, DC Deebo. We might have to come up with something. DC Deebo. I like that. But yeah, no, we get Deebo in the trade, like you said, for a 5th round pick. That's Adam Peters. We trust. We talked about it last week, and like you said, one of the things we both said was, if Deebo comes to DC, we're going to be, ecstatic. We'll be happy about it. We'll be in the stands cheering them on. Somebody shared a clip of Deebo against the Eagles. You saw him running all over their secondary. So it does get you excited for what's to come. Because with the offensive coordinator like Cliff, I think that Cliff can get Deebo in some good spots. I think Cliff can be very, very creative as far as it comes to play calling, and we have the best quarterback running everything at the helm, Jaden Daniels. So that's what makes me the most confident in every move that we make, is the fact that Jaden's back there. Deebo is probably going to be better than he was in San Francisco because we have Jaden, because he has a better quarterback. So if he can get in shape, and I think he can at 29, there's nothing for somebody like that to get in shape at this. And he's in a contract year. We always talk about what athletes do when they're in a contract year. Hopefully they don't re-sign him right away because
Mhm.
you only spent a fifth round pick on him.
Make them work
If
for
he,
it.
yeah, make him work for it. And if he's not good, hey, thanks for coming. Same with Marshawn Lattimore. These guys are on the clock. Like you, we're not signing guys long term. Not to get too far ahead, because we do have another segment where we talk about the roster and how it fills out. Um, but this is the first move. This is the first piece. We called the pieces last week, Co. What free agents we had on offense? We had offensive tackle, running back, and wide receiver. So how do you feel, Co? Now that we've gotten a wide receiver, not to get like I said, not to get too far ahead, but just how do you feel about him as a wide receiver? Do you see him as like the number two receiver? Do you see him as a slot receiver? How do you feel about where he feels in just as a receiver?
I mean, first off, like we got this dude for dirt cheap. So that's really going to help us when free agency starts, when the draft comes around, because we've already addressed technically our need at wide receiver, which was our wide receiver two. I mean, right now on paper, he's going to be our wide receiver two. So it addresses a concern. I would say it doesn't lock him in as the number two, because if someone else becomes available, or maybe there's another trade, or maybe we get lucky in a draft and the star wide receiver falls to us or something like that, I don't know. But right now on paper, this guy addresses a need. Like I say, he's 29 years old. He's still relatively in his prime. And I looked up his overall numbers, and this is what Washington is getting in regards to production here.
Okay,
So
go with the stats. Let's
come
go.
on, man. So he has 334 career receptions.
Okay,
He has on 510 targets. So he basically catches over 50% of his targets.
okay,
When an accurate passer like Jaden, that can only go up. But total receiving yards, 4,792 yards, 14.3 yard average per catch. So he's a yards after catch guy. So don't let
hmm
that number fool you guys. He probably catches it within that 5 to 7 yard radius, and then adds on from there. Total TDs receiving 22. Has an 83 yard long passing reception. He has 202 carries. Now here's the X factor. He has 202 carries for 1,143 yards. That's basically one season for a productive back, if you think about it, if you space it
right.
out. 5.7 yards a carry with 20 rushing touchdowns. So
That's interesting. Okay, because when you said the receiving touchdowns, I'm like, 22. That doesn't sound like a lot. Add
yeah,
the
he
rushing
makes up with it
touchdowns
with
in there.
the yeah. So he's going to be the guy that's going to catch screen passes. He's going to do end arounds. He's going to do a couple of plays or crosses, or over the middle, things like that. And that's just going to add up. And then they'll do like pop passes and things like that, just to give him like the ball in space, if you will.
Who?
So
Let me ask you this, Co. Whose position do you think he's taking over?
he's going to take over De'Amari Brown. And
Ooh,
yeah, here's the thing. We'll see when free agency starts. De'Amari Brown probably is going to go shop somewhere, because he had a great off season. I mean, a great season last year. So if someone wants to pay him more, he deserves it. I don't see him staying. I see them keeping Zacchaeus. But if they do that, then they'll move Zacchaeus to the slot. We have Jamison Crowder as well, so those will probably be like that slot by committee, if you will. And you have Deebo at number two. But it's Cliff Kingsbury. He'll interchange everybody from here on
right.
out. But right now he's the number two pick, and I'm number two receiver. And like I said, we got him for dirt cheap. So when free agency starts, we still got our money to get free agents. We still got our top draft picks. And like we said, he has a 2 year contract left. He has a clause where he can void it in 2026 if he wanted to. So
Okay.
technically, he's on a 1 year contract. I think he's
Yep.
owed like maybe like 21 million, something like that. That's less than a franchise tag for a receiver this in 2025. So we're getting him below market value, and we really didn't have to spend anything. So I love the pickup, Adam Peters. Hey, so far so good for year two.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I'm trying to think. I feel like this might be where one of our first disagreements, because I think he takes over Zakia's spot, and I think
Mm-hmm.
De'Ami Brown is going to return, even though he probably will shop. If somebody just offers him a crazy contract, and somebody might, because receivers get paid more than running backs right now. It's
Yeah.
The running back contracts are crazy, so I could see
And don't get me
De'Ami.
wrong, Wiggs. Don't get me wrong. If I would prefer De'Ami Brown to stay,
Okay,
I would
okay.
prefer him to stay. I just think because he had that breakout uh part in the
Somebody's gonna
playoffs,
offer him more.
yeah, I think somebody's going to offer him some more money.
Okay, okay. Um, so yeah, I think that's the only thing I would say to that, because I think what I'm thinking about is Cliff is probably at this point just gonna have a wide receiver, and you said it, like when you said slot by committee. I think
Yeah,
he's just gonna have receiver by committee, because that's really what teams want. We don't want just one number one. Honestly, we want four number ones if we can get it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who's telling us not to get better wide receivers? So I think they probably will get another receiver in the draft. I think they probably get another receiver in free agency, and they got this one via trade. So I don't think they're done. I mean, obviously, again, I don't want to get too far ahead because we're going to get to the next segment talking about the roster, but I don't think they're done filling out the receiver room. Um, Obviously because they have to, but yeah, it's a lot of moves to come up. So yeah.
Now, one thing that we know about Debo is that he is one tough SOB. You know what I'm saying? Like he lives by the creed yards after catch. And
Mm-mm.
with that mentality comes a lot of injuries. So he's missed at least 2 games for the past 3 years, at least 2 games. Now, that's doesn't sound like a lot, but it depends on what game he's missing, you know, and it also depends on who else may be out because God forbid,
Marshawn Lattimore
yeah, you
having
know
that
what I'm saying?
hamstring thing. Yep.
So his running style and the way that he was used in San Francisco, it can kind of work against him, man. Like so, I'm guaranteeing he's going to miss at least 1 or 2 games because that's just how he plays. He's going to have a hurt hamstring or shoulder injury or something. God forbid that happens because the training staff here at Washington have been revamped and we didn't really have a lot of injuries last year.
They
So
were
hopefully the
phenomenal as far
conditioning,
as injuries concerned last year. It was amazing. We've never had a
yeah,
season where we got through that injury to go as deep into the playoffs as we did, especially.
yeah. So hopefully
We
that
didn't
comes
have
into
very
help.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I wish him the best of luck. I'm happy he's here.
Let
I
me ask you
mean,
this, Cole. Any thoughts on Brandon Ayuk? We got Debo. I think the 49ers said Ayuk is available. We got Debo from the 49ers. Any thoughts on that Brandon Ayuk thing?
first of all, if he was healthy, then maybe. But
Okay.
he's fresh off of ACL. We don't know the timeline as far as when he'll be available, and he just signed $120 million contract extension. So and honestly, if we wanted him, we would have got him last year.
hmm The price
So
was definitely too high, so they just said forget it.
exactly. So I think one 49er, former 49er wide receiver is enough. I think he's going to fill a void. Like I said, he's penciled in right now, in my opinion, as wide receiver two. And hopefully we'll keep De'Ami. That'll be a pretty nice trio there. But, speaking of keeping De'Ami Brown and other players, the next segment here, 29-0, roster concerns for Washington. The reason why I have it as 29-0, Brodies, is because the Skins are the second least active player franchise in the league right now. We have the least amount of players on our roster, and the reason why is because I'd say about 2/3 of our roster were 1 year contracts. for the most part. So, or you got a couple of people whose contracts are coming due, like John Allen's and Terry McLaurin. So we don't have a lot of people right now signed to the team, which is why we're making certain moves right now, like bringing in Deebo Samuels and things of that sort. But once free agency kicks off, Adam Peters is going to be very busy this summer. So, as far as roster concerns, we've already addressed a little bit of it, with the offensive tackle, running back, wide receiver, and obviously on the defensive side with the edge rusher, secondary help, and linebackers. But I'd say the first thing we need to talk about is who are like two players do we think we should bring back that are free agents right now, Wiggs?
Okay. So let me see, because I actually wrote this down. A lot when we were going over the needs for the Commanders last week. I wrote down the Commanders free agents. So I'll give you three on defense and three on offense.
Okay.
And you tell me, and I'll tell you the two that I think we should get on each one. So
Okay.
my top three on defense: Bobby Wagner, Jeremy Chin, Dante Fowler. I'm saying, ooh, I mean, Jeremy Chin is like that, man. But I think safety might be a position where we can continue to see if we can get maybe an upgrade as far as interceptions at safety. My favorite safeties are Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, those types. So I think Jeremy Chin did a great job as a safety. He didn't really let anything get past him. That's the number one job, and he did a good job running up to defend the run. But I think we could maybe get a little bit more just interception turnover wise from a safety. So I'm gonna go with Bobby Wagner and Dante Fowler will be the two
Okay.
defensive ones I want to bring back.
Okay.
And then on offense, I have Zach Ertz, De'Ami Brown, and Noah Brown. And the two that I would keep, I would say Zach Ertz and De'Ami Brown. I would give them maybe 2-year contracts. I think De'Ami Brown still has a little bit more to prove. I think he's earned at least more than a 1-year contract. So I think 2 years for De'Ami would be good because then he can prove himself even more. You prove yourself even more, you're that much closer to another contract. And the same thing for Zach Ertz, with Ertz being a little older. He just has such a phenomenal year, but he is injury prone as well, kind of like Deebo. He just happened to stay healthy this whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think he's earned a contract, so I would like to see Zach Ertz and De'Ami Brown come back.
So I agree with with the defense, I think we should bring Bobby Wagner back just from a
Okay.
leadership standpoint. He's still playing at a high level. Um, I would bring Jeremy Chin back and I would let
Mm,
Fowler go. The only reason why is because Fowler is a liability on the run defense. We need
okay,
somebody to help
that
with the
makes
run.
sense.
So
Yeah, and he,
I
he
would
had
hate
a
to see
great
him
season.
go. I would hate to
Yeah.
see him go. He'd be great for depth if we can bring him back, which is
hmm
possible, which is
hmm
still possible. But if I had to choose two, give me Wagner and Chen. Now on offense, give me Ertz and give me De'Ami Brown. Like I said, I would love to see De'Ami Brown come back. Him, Deebo, and McLaurin. That's a pretty nice trio. And with Zach Ertz, yeah, that's very very nice. Now from a contract shout out to Noah Brown. Thank you for that Hail Mary. But
Yeah.
I mean, we got Deebo. So it is what it is.
I mean, I think
But
again, depth. The same way you said for Dante Fowler, I think Noah Brown could be a depth receiver. I think, and especially when I say depth, I think the Texans could have used Noah Brown last year. Like
mhm.
Noah Brown was on the Texans, they just ended up releasing him. I don't even think we had to trade for Noah Brown. I think that was just a
Yeah, he
release,
was a free agent. Now,
just a free agent.
from a contract standpoint,
hmm
I think with Ertz, Wagner, uh, and De'Ami Brown, maybe they should do it where they give them 2-year contract, a 2-year contract extension, but they're like, let's just say for like with Zach Ertz, for example, I'm just making it up. Let's just say we sign him for 2 more years for let's just say $20 million,
Mm-hmm.
and let's just make 15 of it guaranteed or something like that, where he's paid up front, like that first year in 2026 will
Right,
be like
right.
a
Yep.
like a small cap hit if we
Okay.
uh if we release him, something that's more contract favorable for the second year where he's not owed any guaranteed money. So if we cut him after next year, it's not going to really hurt us. But like I said, Adam
Hey,
Peters got all that under control, baby. You know what
I
I'm
was about
saying?
to
Don't
say they
don't
might have to put you
don't
on the
take my word
team,
for it.
coach. They
Don't
might
take
have to
my
put.
word for it.
Listen, we said Sassy Samuels, DC Debo. We said he was gonna be. I said it last week. I said I think that's the route that they're gonna go. It's the route they ended up going.
I
I
like the
think you make
move.
it. I think you make a great point about the contract structure, and like you said, they did a really good job last year of structuring contracts the right way, signing players to deals that were, um, if you earn it, we will reward you. So I think they did a really good job of that. So yeah, no, I think that's true. How about I don't want to get too far ahead, Cole, but what positions in the draft are you looking forward
In the
to fill out
draft.
the roster? Yep.
So, I mean, I think that like the draft is all going to be based on what we do in free agency. Now they're going to address free agency before the draft and after the draft. But I
Yep.
think the positions that they take in the draft are going to be determined on what players they get to start off free agency with. So, for example, if they go and get Stanley, I think his last name is Stanley, the tackle from
The
the
tackle
Ravens.
from the Ravens, Ronnie Stanley. Yep.
Yeah, let's say they pick him up. Well, if
Hmm.
they pick him up in free agency, then they're not gonna draft the offensive tackle with the first or second round pick because they got their guy, right? But if they don't and they decide to do that in the draft, then it just depends. But like it really just depends how they're going to address the free agency. So I would say in the draft, they're going to do the best player available
In the draft.
because yeah, they're going to do the
Okay.
best player available strategy because right now, if you look at their roster, like I said, they only have 29 active players on their roster, and they have to have. I think it's 63 now. It used to be 53, but I think it's like 63 now, something like that. But they have to have
Okay.
90 players on the roster at the beginning of training camp.
Right.
So that's
Right.
just they have 61 players that they have to freaking sign. So
Yeah,
Adam
that's a
Peters is
lot.
going to be busy. So
Yeah.
a lot of the players that they're going to address in free agency, I say a third of them is going to be players that are already on the roster. That
Mm.
way they can kind of maintain the culture.
Okay.
So I'd say maybe out of those 61 players, yeah, I'd say easily 20 to 30 of them are going to be players that played on the team last year, just to make things a little easier. Because we're only a
Okay.
couple of pieces away. So if we get a couple of pieces in free agency and then address the draft with best player available, we should be able to put ourselves together a nice roster in this first window of our Commander Super Bowl run.
Hey. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. I have a list of some of the top free agents. Now, of course, we're gonna go over the top free agents at their position. But I have a couple names that I wrote down. I want you to give me about three or four, and after that, I think we can maybe talk a little bit more about the draft as well. So I'm gonna just go over this list of top free agents. T. Higgins at wide receiver. We kind of know he's maybe signed to a
He got
well,
tagged,
he's
yeah.
he's been tagged. Yeah, so they're trying to work things out with T. Higgins. We'll see if he continues to be one. We have Khalil Mack, defensive end. Josh Sweat, defensive end. Charvarius Ward, cornerback. Nick Bolton, linebacker. Justin Reed, safety. Harrison Smith, safety. Demarcus Lawrence, defensive end. Brandon
Mm.
Sheriff at tackle. Zach
Mm.
Brown, linebacker. Matt Judon, defensive end. And Ronnie Stanley, the tackle that you mentioned as well. Any of those names stand out as players that you think we should go after um, when free agency starts on March 12th?
I like Khalil Mack.
Hmm.
Having Khalil Mack. Now he's not the Khalil Mack of old. We know that, but
Yeah.
I mean, him and Bobby Wagner on the same team, that would definitely help. Stanley, like I said, I think we should go get a left tackle that is experienced. I hope I get the whole like draft the offensive tackle and let him grow with Jaden. I get that, but if we're in win now mode, we ain't got time to really like rely on rookies to take us to the promised land unless you're five. But Ward, I mean, that would be a great pickup for cornerback. Move Mikey Samuel to the slot. I think that would help. I mean, there's just so many other players, but you know, that's what I'm saying. Like if we end up addressing some serious like if we end up getting starters in the free agency, that just means that the draft is just going to be like I said, best player available, and it's going to be solely for depth. Because if we get a left tackle and an edge rusher via free agency as starters, that's going to
Those are
really
our
like set
top
us up.
needs right there. Those are our top
Exactly. You see
needs
what
when
I'm
we were
saying?
talking about it last week. Yep.
Yeah. So, and if they do the philosophy where they like, let's just say they bring in Khalil Mack on a 1 year deal or a 2 year deal, that's that, bruh. Like the sky's the limit for this team. And one of the biggest things that we have to address here when we're concerning about the draft here is the combine. Like the combine pretty much is wrapped up. There's a lot of good players that are going to be coming out this year. We had a couple of standout players. One in particular for me, his name was James Pierce. This dude is a defensive tackle, 6'5", I think. He was like 260, 270 pounds, and the man run a 4.47. Like we if we get speed like that on defense, like we have to keep up with Philly. Like they're the benchmark, and
What's the
they
guy's
gave us
name
the
we
formula to
had?
win.
What's the defensive end's name that we traded to the Bears? Um,
Something Sweat,
Montez Sweat.
Montez
Montez
Sweat.
Sweat.
Yeah,
Yep. Very similar type of athlete. Montez Sweat was a raw product. He didn't
yep,
have the passing, or not the passing, but the rushing acumen that you would say a Chase Young had, but he had the pure raw talent. And I think Montez Sweat is having a better career than Chase Young. And Chase Young was a
yep,
higher draft pick than
yep.
Montez Sweat was. So um, the thing with James Pierce is, will he be available after the performance that he had?
Yeah,
Will he be available at 29? Because they were projecting him to be a second round pick. And after that performance, I think he's a first rounder now, potentially top 10 at that. Um,
especially what was that dude that got hurt? Abdul.
Abdul Carter, right? He
Yeah,
didn't perform. He didn't. I'm not even sure if he was at the
no,
combine this
he
weekend.
wasn't there. He's injured.
Yeah. So
But they said that he doesn't have to have surgery. He said he's not going with the surgery. We'll see how that goes once he
potentially,
gets drafted.
exactly. Because yeah, we had Johnny Newton. He had two surgeries
Yeah, on
on
the
his
feet.
feet last year. One of the players that stood out to me, it was a Texas wide receiver, and it's not the one that said he was going to break the record. It was actually another Texas receiver named Matthew Golden, who
Yeah.
had a faster 40
Yep. Yep.
time
Yep.
than the one that was talking. I think his name was Isaiah Bond.
Yeah.
We know what
This
Xavier,
dude said he was gonna run a 4.20 and then ran a 4.41.
like.
Oh,
Come on,
dude, I could.
441 is it's nothing to be that's a good 40 time, but
Hell
don't come
yeah.
out here talking like you about to run a 4.2. He said I'm gonna be the fastest 40 time ever. All right, bro. Like one thing
I don't
these
get this
young kids
class.
have is confidence.
This class is overly confident.
That's
Uh,
one
this
thing these
this
young
this
cats
class
have.
right here, man. Like Cam Ward, talk about he's top five already and hadn't even been drafted yet. Baby
Hmm.
Prime, I mean Shador, I mean he's Deion Sanders' kid. I expect him to be flashy and flamboyant, and it hasn't been like he hasn't been backing it up. But
Hmm.
I mean, a lot of standout players in the combine. I mean, I really don't do my mock draft until after pro days. But
Hmm.
there's definitely some people that are going to like help their case. I mean, James Pierce is definitely one of them.
Yeah, James Pierce for sure. Matthew Golden, he's a first rounder now, just with a 4.43 430 40. You're a first round draft pick. One of the quarterbacks, Jackson Dart.
Jackson
threw
Dart.
pretty
Yeah, I was
well.
just about to say that. That's a cold white boy right there, man.
Hey, I was gonna say, I think I was gonna text you yesterday, and then you, and then the Deebo trade happened, and you called me, and we just started talking about that. But I was gonna text you and say, Jackson Dart's name is now gonna be in the Shador Cam Moore conversation
Mm-hmm.
because those two guys didn't throw. You called that first, Co. Uh, Heard it here first on the Brodies. Um, but Jackson Dart looked well. A lot of the other quarterbacks that were potential first round draft picks did not look well. Quinn Ewers for Texas, and there was another quarterback that just didn't perform the way scouts were thinking,
Yeah,
and
Quinn had a couple of overthrown
that's
passes.
something. Yeah,
He didn't look pretty accurate at all.
yep, that's something that we see all the time when it comes to quarterbacks coming from big schools who have skill players, top skill players at all positions. It makes the quarterback's job easier, and then they kind of can get exposed when it's time to go to the next level, dealing
Mm-hmm.
with talent that you're not used to dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see how these guys deal with adversity. I saw one. This tight end broke his ankle and kept running. I didn't even catch his name, but broke his ankle, kept going on throughout the rest of the day. They showed his ankle. The thing is so swell up, but it shows that he's tough. You know, if you're going to be a football player, you're going to get hurt. Can you fight through the pain? Can you keep going when we need you? Are you going to, get hurt and be a liability, or are you going to show that the best ability is availability? And you got to see just some of those things. I'll add this just as we talk about the combine. I wouldn't mind if they did away with the combine. Just
Mm.
it brings up certain things for me always. It's always kind of reminding me of like slave cattle and the slave trade. I'll be
Yeah, yeah,
honest with you,
I've heard
like,
that analogy before. Yeah,
yeah, like these dudes in their boxer briefs basically like, yo,
yeah,
man,
like
I
the
don't need
slave
to see
trade.
you in your underwear, my man. Like,
Yeah,
um, so I'll say that I like the 40 times, the skills are cool, but let's look at the tape. Like you said, let's look at the tape. I don't even mind the pro days because the pro days are kind of like let's show off. You know, that's a little different than just hey, all you guys line up in your underwear and
yeah,
let's look at you like a slave auction. So
yeah. I feel you on that. I've actually heard that a few times. Just like the whole mannerism, how they taking your measurements and all this other stuff. It does feel like you're on the slave block. But I'll tell you
hmm
one thing. Those are some pretty uh well compensated slaves. At least at
hey,
least
I didn't
they
know where
getting
you
$1
was
million
going
dollars to get their ass whooped.
when you started it off with the pretty. I was like, hold on, where you going with this pretty what? But yeah, nah. And then the well compensated chill, co. Hey, that might be an AO moment right there. Uh,
Well
but no,
compensated. They're
uh,
like, yo, I'm getting paid $20 million to
yeah,
play
nah,
something that we
that's
played in the freaking backyard before mom
I'm
called us in for
I'm
dinner.
telling you, I'm telling you. That'll be a point to bring up on one of our later topics when it comes to leadership. What comes with the money and stuff like that. But
Yeah. But
but yeah, no, a lot of players moved up this weekend with some performances that they had. James Pierce, like you said, is one of them. Matthew Golden, another. Jackson Dart. These players could potentially have made themselves 10, 20, maybe 30 more $1 million
yep.
just by having a great performance. So it does
Yeah,
mean
I
something to these
believe
guys.
after the third round, like the first three rounds, I believe you're guaranteed that fifth year option in your contract, and after the third round, you're not. So that definitely helps. Because like the only guaranteed contract you're guaranteed to get if you're a top three, or third round or up draft pick is 4 year. It's a 4 year contract with a
Mm.
fifth year option. Anything after that is just 4 years, or I think after five it drops after that. I got to look at the contract structure, but if you get in that first round, you're guaranteed 4 year contract with a fifth year option. So that really helps
It
out with these combine
means a lot.
workouts.
That means a lot.
Yeah. But moving on here, Brody's. If you're not following us again, you need to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Over 350,000 viewers and counting. But kind of correlating how we're going to address the roster issues here. We got Wiggs' top 5 free agents. This week we're focusing on the running backs. And so let's start it off here. Wiggs, who you got at number 5?
All right, at number 5, we're gonna go with Rico Dowdle for the Cowboys, now a free agent. And for me, one of the things that makes one of the reasons I put Rico on my list is because he's our opponent's running back. It's always good when you can take somebody from another team that you play against, especially if they're talented. We did it with a lot of our players, Noah Igbenogany, Dante Fowler, both came from the Cowboys last year. Both did a tremendous job. Let's get some more Cowboys. Rico Dowdle's fast. He can catch out of the backfield. He can run. I think he had a pretty decent rushing yards per carry average. So this is a player that I like a lot. What do you think, Cole?
Yeah, I mean he had a I wouldn't say a breakout season, but he kind of burst onto the scene, if you will, last year. I like the pickup. I don't think he's going to go to Washington. I think there's another player that may come to Washington. Hold on, just a little bit during the countdown, Birds. We'll get to it, but I do. I think he's out of all of the free agents right now, he's the youngest, I believe.
Okay.
And Dallas, they don't have any money, so I don't even think they're going to be able to afford him. And
He
he's
said
not even
they
going to get a
broke.
big contract. You know what I'm saying? He's probably going to get like $6 or $8 million. They don't even have that. So, but yeah, I definitely like Rico Dowdle. I think he is going to be an emerging star. Just depends on where he goes. But definitely like that as your fifth free agent for the running backs. Who you got for number 4?
Man, you made me think about something, Cole. Rico Dowdle might get more than Derrick Henry got just last year. And Derrick Henry was potentially going to go to the Cowboys. Jerry Jones didn't even talk to him, didn't even offer him. Just terrible, terrible management. But moving on, we're going to go to number 4. We're going to go to Pittsburgh with the Steelers. Najee Harris is coming in at number 4 on my list. Najee shared some time in the backfield with Jalen Warren, but he was the number 1 back. He's a power back. He kind of reminds me of a Derrick Henry type of back. He needs a little bit of a time to get the motor running. Maybe a John Riggins-esque type of running back.
Rigo.
A power back that once they're in the open field, they have some speed. But Najee Harris is not going to catch as well out of the backfield as some other backs. And that kind of presents the problem that we already currently have with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, in that if they're not an every down back, then it becomes a lot easier for the defense to plan and schedule against you. So that's why Najee Harris is coming in 4th on my list. He is a very, very capable back, but I would say he's not an all around back. What do you think about Najee Harris at number 4?
Yeah, he's got an asterisk for me because like
Okay.
when I look at Najee Harris, I don't look at a back that, like you said, as the every down back. I don't see him really catching too many passes out of the backfield, and he's gotten a lot of carries. He had a lot of carries in college in Alabama, so I'm worried about his shelf life. Now the offensive line for Pittsburgh, their run offense wasn't that solid. So I don't know if he is, doesn't have enough left in the tank, or did he just need a better offensive line? So it'll be interesting to see who picks him up. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to re-sign him. I think they're going to go with the other guy who's very versatile.
Jalen Warren.
Yeah, I think they're going to go with him.
Okay.
But you know, anyone who's looking for a power back will love to have him. I think he'd be a solid pickup, but I think he's going to be a by committee back. I don't think he's going to be like the definitive starter anywhere he goes.
Let me say this, Cole. When you mention the offensive line, one thing about Jaden is he makes everybody around him better. And we saw earlier in the season when Brian Robinson was healthy, he was running and the offensive line was creating holes for him. just because when you're running that run play, the RPO, the run pass option, the linebackers don't really know if they can, rush in or not. He's kind of taken a linebacker away because they have to spy him. So Najee Harris, again, even though he's not an every down back, we could still put him in positions like we did with Brian Robinson and get yardage in a way. Just because we have Jaden in the backfield, it basically opens it up for any running back that we bring in. I could see Najee Harris having success in this offense. Um, but like you said, I would actually go for Jalen Warren. I think, like you said, the Steelers are probably going to go for him. If I was
Yeah,
the the Commanders, I would be going for Jalen Warren over Najee. But I think Najee has a little bit more talent, just as far as our running back is concerned. Like I think of him kind of like a little Derrick Henry.
yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, he's definitely a
Najee,
power back.
yeah, if he
Wiggs over here got the top five free agent running backs for Washington.
Hey, I'm
This,
telling you,
this,
man.
this the
I'm
second
thinking
player. Like,
about.
yeah, you need to come to Washington.
Hey, if AP is listening,
Let's
I'm just letting
go.
them know what we think. What we think, man.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So who you got at number three?
All right. So number three, I have Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones played with the Vikings last year. After playing for the Packers the year before that, I was actually surprised to see him on this list because I think Aaron Jones is a really good running back, and again, he may be re-signed by the Vikings. They kind of did a little bit of what Adam Peters did, and that let's sign you to a 1 year deal, see what you can do. Aaron Jones is not a just a power running back. He can kind of do it all. He can
Yeah,
catch out of the backfield. He can run if the hole is there. He's fast. Um, so I really like Aaron Jones. Uh, I'm trying to think. There may be a little bit of an injury concern there for Aaron Jones. He has been injured, especially late in the season. It's something that I see out of Aaron Jones, and you really want players that are going to be available when you need them. So
yeah,
that will be my only concern for Aaron Jones. And I think he is getting a little bit older. I think he's closer to the 30-year mark, and you just know that these running backs just don't recover the way they do when they're younger. So
yeah.
I have Aaron Jones at number three. What do you think, Cole?
I think out of the top five so far, I mean, I think number three is a good uh
All around back.
yeah, and he's had hamstring issues for the past 2 years to address the injury issue. So that is my biggest concern as well. But I mean, he's so far out of all the backs, he's an every down back, and when healthy, he's arguably a top 10 back. I mean, I rank these players based off of fantasy picks.
Mm-hmm.
Because who are you gonna pick after the first round? Like right now, as far as top 10, top 15 running backs, you're gonna have Aaron Jones on your roster.
Yeah.
When healthy, you're gonna have Aaron Jones on your
Right.
roster. So I definitely agree with that. Who you got at number two?
For number two, I'm gonna go to San Diego with the Chargers. J.K. Dobbins. Again, J.K. Has only spent, I want to say, 1 or 2 seasons in San Diego. Um, he was with the Ravens prior to that. I think J.K. dealt a little bit with some injury concerns last year as well. But J.K., when he's in the game, that's a 100-yard like rushing.
Minimum.
Uh, yeah, like he's gonna get 100 yards rushing if he's in the game. He's just not an all-around back the way some of these other backs. I would almost compare him to the way I said Najee reminds me of Derrick Henry. J.K. reminds me of Saquon in that he's a big thigh running back. You're not going to get him down with just the first person. He's going to make the first person miss every time he runs. He's a natural running back, but catching out of the backfield, I've seen JK kind of bobble the ball the way Saquon
Yeah,
does, catching it out of the backfield. Um, you can kind of have him in on every down, but you just know that he's not the best catching it out the backfield. He's
yeah,
serviceable. He can block out of the backfield. Again, a natural running back. I've always liked J.K. Dobbins since he was at Ohio State. Um, so I think that could be one for Washington right there. What do you think about J.K. Dobbins at number two, Cut?
I like J.K. Dobbins.
Okay.
I've been lobbying for him ever since he tore his ACL a couple years back. And when he was playing in Baltimore, I think he was supposed to be the number one back, and then when he got hurt, the rest is history. So I like J.K. Dobbins. I think that Coach Harbaugh, he's the perfect type of back for Coach Harbaugh. He likes the ground and pound. So my biggest concern with him is durability. He's had some injuries. He got injured last year, so it's just a matter of can he withstand the 17 game season. So if he were to come to Washington, he would definitely have some carries taken off of his workload because we're going to have a running back by committee here until we find that feature back. But there's one running back that could be our every down back who happens to be a free agent. Who you got at number one, Wiggs?
Number one, we have a little familiarity. We're going to the Arizona Cardinals for James Conner.
La
And James,
Familia.
hey, James Conner has already played with Cliff Kingsbury, already found success with Cliff Kingsbury. He's an every down type of back. He can run, he can catch, he can block. He's big, he's fast, everything you want. Now again, James Conner, like a lot of the other running backs on this list, has a little bit of an injury concern, and that's the main reason a lot of these running backs are even on the list. I would say that a lot of them would be re-signed by the teams that they're on, and they may still get re-signed because
Yeah,
this is a talented group. Um, but James Conner is one. If I'm Cliff Kingsbury, I've worked with him already. I've already found success. He's somebody I would be looking to sign. What do you think about James Conner?
I think this will be a perfect addition to the roster. James Conner, re-sign Austin Eckler. Okay,
Mm.
B Rob actually is still on his rookie contract. So now you got
So
B
we have
Rob.
another year of B Rob. Yep.
Yep. Now you got B Rob. You got James Conner. James Conner will be the starter. And then you got Eckler. Bruh, like if we can stay healthy, that will be a hell of a backfield back there, man. He'll be cheap too because running backs don't get paid nothing. So
And what's interesting about Connor and B Rob, that's two big, powerful backs. Like both of those dudes are about 6'1", 6'2", 220, 240. Like if you're going from James Conner to B Rob as the backup, oh man,
yeah.
defenses are gonna be in for a long game because that's a lot of power backing that you gotta worry about. Like man, James Conner will
Oh,
be very, very nice.
also just to kind of like go back to the free agency, you mentioned Brandon Sheriff. He was a former guard for the Skins. We drafted him. Like if we
Yo,
bring him back, or if we
that
get
would be
the
nice.
offensive line beefed up, and then we bring in James Conner with Deebo, Super Bowl.
Let's go. Nah, man.
Again,
I mean,
Brodies.
listen, we're this close, so it's just gonna
Hey,
take
we
a
we
little bit
are
more.
in window one, baby. Window one.
Telling you.
Let us know what you think here, Brody's, for our top five free agents for our running back edition. Last week we got some pretty good feedback with the quarterbacks. Some disagreed with our list, but for the most part, people understood that. Hey, look, man, these particular quarterbacks that were on our list, they're going to go to teams that need a quarterback. Like the Tennessee Titans or the Browns or the Giants. These are the teams that need the quarterbacks. But the correlation between that and the draft and free agency is going to determine what's going to happen. But we'll see what these
Hey,
running backs.
Cole,
Yeah.
before we move on to the next segment, I always have a couple extras. I just wanted to mention a couple other top five, or not top five, but a couple other running back free agents that didn't make the list. Nick Chubb,
Mm,
Jordan Mason, Kareem Hunt, Jalen Warren. Just a couple other names that, I mean, again, this is a good free agency class. And those are guys that didn't even make the top five. Those are some good names.
Look, the problem is with these running backs is after 3 years they're not considered to be valuable. But if they but I think that
It's
the
like
running backs are
it's
defined
like
by
ran through pussy coat.
ah, hey yo, they got a lot of miles. Hey, but
They got
look,
a lot of miles,
but
man.
look, hey, let me tell you something. It might have some miles on it, but it's good. It's still good. Okay? It still
Yeah,
works. It still functions. Okay? And
listen.
if you treat it right, you know what I'm saying? It could still, bring back its luster. You know.
So
So
that's what the position is dealing with right now, man.
yeah. I mean, like Nick Chubb, right? Even though he had a catastrophic knee injury, he showed last year that he still has it. And
Yep.
another off season to get healthy, man. Yeah, I mean the sky's the limit for these guys. Like I think the running backs, they got a chip on their shoulder. They're gonna show these people like, hey, we're still valuable. Mark my words. Within the next 2 or 3 years, we're gonna have another running back get like those type of Zeke Elliott contracts that they did a few years ago. But that's what we got here for the football segment here, Brodies. Again, you need to be following us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. We are again over 350,000 views and counting. But switching sports here, we're going to transition into basketball. Recently this week, Anthony Edwards, who is an upcoming star, or I'd say a budding superstar, rather, or you can even call him a superstar now if you want to, in the NBA, was asked if he wanted to be the face of the league, and he said that he didn't. And there's been a trend in this generation and in the previous generation where the so-called faces of the NBA don't want to be looked at as the face of the NBA, and quite frankly, it's causing the Brodies here to question uh, the character and their leadership qualities and just their ability to just want to be accept the responsibility of being the face. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. But there is a particular reason why this generation doesn't want to hold themselves accountable, and it's because of a possible false prophet. Now, I don't want anybody to think that this is a LeBron bashing show because it's not. It's not. But I just want people to understand the logic behind it all. What's going on behind the scenes? And whenever we find out more evidence of what's going on in the league, it leads back to this false prophet. And with that being said, is LeBron hurting the NBA with his comments? Now, his comment was, hey, everybody's talking crap about the NBA players, and he shouldn't want to be a face of the franchise. My question is why? I mean, you're the face of the NBA, LeBron. Why wouldn't you want people following you? Like, what's the problem with you not wanting to be the face of the NBA? I mean, you'll get paid a lot of money in endorsements. You'll get primetime games. You'll get all the perks. I don't get his comments, Wiggs. What do you think?
Listen, I just want to jump in right here because when you talk about follow the leader, LeBron has Bronny in the league right now. Would LeBron be telling Bronny this? A lot of times when we talk about the black community, we talk about rappers, we talk about entertainment. When we talk about leaders in the black community, it's always entertainment. And you look at what rappers will rap about, but then you look at how they raise their kids. Their kids are in private school. Their kids
Yeah.
are going to college. Their kids are getting an education and doing all the things that they need to do. But you're rapping about robbing and killing. LeBron, would you tell Bronny that he doesn't have to be the face of the league? Hell no. You will be telling Bronny how important it is to be a part of the league. You will be telling Bronny that he needs to do everything that he has to do. Look at how Bronny carries himself. Bronny carries himself like he's the face of the league. because he knows the responsibility because Braun has taught him that. So sometimes you get people like LeBron, sometimes you get people like rappers who say, I don't want to be a role model. I don't want to take the responsibility. Too damn bad. That's what comes with the job. That's what comes with the position. If you want to be a king, King James, it's going to be some things that come with being the king. And part of that is criticism. You're going to get criticism when you don't do what we can see you doing. You play a game that has cameras. Not only do we have cameras, but we have slow motion. The slow motion and the cameras are so damn good, we can damn near see what you're thinking out there in the court. So when we watch you give up when you're going against the Celtics in the playoffs, when you're
Or
used
no
to
show against
scoring
the
20,
Mavericks.
30, what'd you say?
Or no show against the Mavericks.
When we see you be a no-show against the Mavericks, we see you get stopped by Jason Kidd and another, I can't even think, JJ Barea. When you get stopped by these players, we can see it, LeBron. So we can criticize you because we saw what happened. And that's something that's new. Social media is new. The cameras and the angles, it's new. Maybe back in the day, if you weren't at the game live, you didn't see it happen. And things kind of take things become bigger when it's just a story being told. You know, one of the reasons the old heads can tell these grandiose stories is because nobody was there to see it. So when they talk about Wilt Chamberlain scoring 100 points, if we didn't have the records, they'd probably be saying Wilt Chamberlain scored 200 points because that's just how stories go when they're being told by old folks. You know, it's like us growing up as kids. Oh, when I grew up, we had to go to school in the snow, and our grandparents would say, "Oh, well, when I grew up, we had to walk to school in the snow." You know,
Yeah.
and we had to walk a mile. Like the story is always going to get more big and grandiose. But back to the point that I'm trying to make: to whom much is given, much is expected, much is required. If you want to be a leader, and not even if you want to be a leader, when you come to the league, a professional sports league, when you get sponsorships, a part of it is you're gonna now become a face of something. You're to be a sponsor, you're the face of Sprite, Anthony Edwards.
Right. You
So
got a shoe deal, bro. What do you mean
you
you don't
got a
want to be
shoe
a face
deal.
of the NBA? You have a
You're
shoe deal.
the face of Adidas. So you're one of the highest scoring players in the league. If you whether you want to be or not, you're
You
the
won a
face of the
gold
league.
medal.
Yeah, you're so I'm not quite sure why they're saying, "Oh, I don't want to be." You don't have a choice. First of all, and that's where people are saying like, and I understand it. LeBron, what the hell are you talking about? Like that's the kind of leadership. And again, if he was talking to Bronny, he would be telling him this. So that's the part where I don't truly appreciate it from LeBron because, again, I would rather LeBron be telling us what he would tell Bronny
Yeah.
because to me that would be more genuine. That's somebody that you care about. That's the real stuff. But to just say, "Oh, why would you want to be the face of the league?" That's kind of a cop out. That's not expressing the true importance of the position. That's not the well thought out answer that we're used to getting from LeBron. And of course, we're going to criticize him again because that's what we do. That's what the media does. That's what the media is supposed to do, hold you accountable and praise you when we see you doing good. Who gets more praise than LeBron? I can't think of many people.
And,
So,
and that's the thing. Like LeBron is one of the biggest attention whores ever. Like he does and says anything to get attention, whether he does it subconsciously or unconsciously. Like he's always doing and saying stuff for attention. That statement he made was clearly for attention for himself to say, "Oh, I don't. He shouldn't want to be the face of the NBA. Look at what I'm going through."
Cole, I'm gonna let you get back on. You know what it was? He
Pause.
was mad about the All Star. Everybody was talking shit about him about uh getting out of the. And again, LeBron moves like nobody can tell me anything. And let me just be honest, nobody can say shit about LeBron. Like
No.
with LeBron's career, with where things are, None of this shit really matters. The shit that we're talking about, none of it matters. LeBron, you're the king. You are the king. You are one of the top three best players ever. None of this shit really matters. So when we talk about this stuff, it is all semantics. It's all opinions.
Yeah,
And LeBron is he's being too sensitive, honestly.
yeah. He's
Like,
always been sensitive.
LeBron, you're being way too sensitive about it. Like, people are talking because like it's just fun to do. So that's one part of it. But he's mad about the All Star stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't like being criticized. He's always been that way, and he has competition anxiety. He doesn't want to lose, and like there's a lot of things that come with the hype train that he has. I mean, I get it. Like you were dubbed the greatest basketball player of all time before you were even drafted. They called you the chosen one. Like there was so much pressure on LeBron. And let me just make one statement. I may talk about him a lot, but that man has lived up to the hype. Like bar none. He's you know what I'm saying? Like he's lived up to the hype. He stayed out of trouble. There's no issues off the court. I commend him for all of that stuff. But there's sometimes where he can just be a BAN, and this was one of those moments. And it's like you got someone like the NBA looks up to LeBron. This generation looks up to him. So anything he says, they are going to follow suit. Like if he said, "I don't want to do the dunk contest," everybody that looks up to him is going to say, "Well, hey, I don't want to do the dunk contest." If he says you don't want to be a superstar, and KD is saying the same stuff, is like, "Oh, I don't want to be a leader," and all this other stuff. All these people that are coming behind them, pause, are going to be like, "Well, hey, I don't have to do it either. I don't have to do it either. I don't have to do the dunk contest. I don't have to participate in this." And
And the 3 point listen, imagine if LeBron did the 3 point contest. More people would probably do that as well. Like, but
yeah,
like you said, the competition anxiety, the small things like that.
and that's one thing that I don't think he understands or
I don't
refuses
think he
to
does.
accept. It's like, dude, what you say matters, and what you say has an influence on the future generations to come. So it's like if you say no, he shouldn't want to be the face of the NBA. Well, brother, the NBA has been really, really good to you and your family. So how could you not be a lobbyist for someone to take the torch? Because when he retires, like that's what they're looking for right now. They're looking for the next LeBron or the next face of the NBA. Because LeBron only has a what, 2, maybe 3 more years, possibly. I mean, he says he can play another 5 years, but does he want to really? So I'd say 2 more years max, maybe, right? So the NBA is scrambling to try to find a face of the NBA. I mean, John Moran's already effed it up. He's trying to clean up his image, but I mean that shit may have sailed. I mean, Anthony Edwards. I mean, they like the Joker, but I think the NBA is looking for an American basketball player to be the face. So with LeBron just saying, "Hey, look, man, they always talking, shit about us and blah blah blah." I'm like, LeBron, this is how I know you a BAN. Have you not looked at the social media? Like you're arguably the most flirt dude on the media of all time. Like
Cole,
your
that's what I was.
wife literally has a whole podcast over juggling your balls.
I was just thinking that too because the thing about the thing about media is about entertainment. What do people want to hear about? Drama. So we're gonna talk about the stuff that's kind of more dramatic. It's not dramatic to talk about Steph Curry's 56 points. You either saw it or you didn't see it. You either cared about it or you didn't. If I talk about the 56, all I'm going to be doing is slurping them. Like, it's not much to talk about. It was an amazing effort. We know Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. Like, the best thing to do would just be look at the highlights. And that's what Sports Center used to be for. ESPN. Let's get Sports Center back to just being highlights. When we want to talk about the media, because we actually let's switch the topic to the Stephen A side. LeBron made his comments, but let's talk about what Stephen A said. And let's talk about the state of media. Let's talk about why we decided to do this podcast. Stephen A's point was basically that LeBron does need to be a leader, and Anthony Edwards does need to be the face of the league, or we do need an American basketball player to be the face of the league. But what do you think about Gilbert Arenas' comments? What do you think about Chiney Ogwumike's comments? Basically telling Stephen A that he is a leader as well, and he could be leading the media a little bit better. I don't think he's as bad as Skip Bayless was. We all know, and I think LeBron has never named Skip Bayless, but Skip Bayless has been a pain in the ass for
Yeah.
LeBron. Because Skip Bayless is a hater. Like, we talk about LeBron, but we'll still give him his credit. Skip Bayless is a hater, and I think LeBron would say Skip wasn't good for basketball. What do you think about the Skip Bayless, the Charles Barkley, the Stephen A. Smiths, and where media is right now?
I mean, drama obviously gives you more ratings, but they're giving them the ammunition. You know what I'm saying? If LeBron participated in the dunk contest, we wouldn't be talking about him not participating in the dunk contest.
22 years later,
You know
right?
what I'm saying? Like if LeBron didn't say that he wants his respect after the bubble chip, we wouldn't be talking about firing him up for the other 6 finals losses. You know, I mean, like the media, they only regurgitate what's given to them. You know what I'm saying? So we wouldn't question his leadership if he wouldn't say BAN stuff like you shouldn't want to be a leader for a freaking organization that's made you a billionaire. So, and on top of that, I mean, like I said, like drama sells, man. Like it is what it is. Like people tune in for the drama. Like no one watches First Take out, for Stephen
For
A.
highlights.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for highlight sports. They want to see how many times he's going to yell and use a bit word that we really don't use in a sentence. You know what I'm saying?
that.
And how tight Molly's dress is going to be. That's what we watch it for.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying? We watch. It is what it is to see how many times Michael Irvin is going to say some plausible stuff. You
not
know,
fact.
we watch Get Up to see how many times Perkins is going to talk as slow as he talks about Stephen, what the
Big Perk. Shout out to
big
Big
Perk.
Perk.
Shout out to Perk. I love Perk. So uh, a lot of stuff going on there with the NBA. Like I think the longer LeBron stays in the league, the more prevalent it's going to see that how much of an influence he has on that entire league, man. Like he's basically
All right,
running that whole league.
let me re-ask you this question, and it's the question in the title. Let me ask you specifically: is LeBron hurting the NBA?
Yes, yes. You live you
Is
either
it
die you
because
either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, and I think that's what's happening to him. Because I
is
think
it?
you're going to
No,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Now I'm just saying, the longer he stays in the league, I feel like the longer, the more he hurts it because people are getting tired. They're getting tired of it. And again, his longevity is helping him, but it's also hurting him. He's breaking more records. He's setting more records. Great, but it's also exposing certain things. Like, okay, he passed Michael Jordan for most 40-point games or 30-point games. Yeah, but it took him 7 years to do it. So it's hurting his legacy more than helping him. You know,
Okay.
and again, I'm tired of talking about him every freaking day on these sports shows. I'm tired of the LeBron GOAT debate. I'm tired of hearing, he some fugazi ass record that he set or broke. I'm just getting tired of it. I'm LeBron exhausted. I'm ready for him to retire.
That's an interesting point, and it's kind of like the Tom Brady stuff. We've never seen athletes play this long. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess let me rephrase. We've never seen athletes play this long to this high of a
to this
degree.
level. Yeah,
We've seen athletes play for over 20 years, We've seen athletes like Cal Ripken get amazing records, but Tom Brady and LeBron are winning championships at 40 years old as
Mm-hmm.
the number one player on the team. That type of stuff is just not common. I think that LeBron, I think that the ways that LeBron is hurting the league are, again, it's ways that he could do something about. Like the way we talk about Kobe and Jordan, the effort. You saw the effort that Kobe put into the game, scoring 60 points on the last game that he ever played. It's just that effort that you see every single time. And it's kind of like now that Luka's in LA, LeBron's playing better. So, LeBron, how are you playing better now than you were 10, 20 games ago? Is it because you have something to play for? Like, there are just times with LeBron where you question, again, let me go back to the playoffs. He loses versus the Celtics, he loses versus the Magic, he loses versus the Mavs. And in all three of those series, you question if he gave up. Those
Yeah.
are things you don't question with Kobe. Those are things you don't question with Jordan. If Jordan didn't want to play, he would just quit the whole season. We saw Jordan retire. But when Jordan was playing the game, he was playing to win. The fact that we can question that about LeBron, that's not good for the league. The fact that we can look at the All-Star weekend and have questions about LeBron, that's not good for the league. I don't want to say he's hurting the league, but I do think he's hindering the league. I
Yeah.
do think
Yeah.
he's teaching bad habits.
Yeah.
As good of a leader as he is, I think kind of he's the king now. And sometimes when you're the king, maybe your first year as king, you say all the right things, and by year 20 of being the king, you don't give a fuck anymore. You said it last
Yeah.
week, Coach. You have a little bit of senioritis. I don't need to go to this class. I don't need to go. I don't need to play in the All Star game, even though I got
Mhm.
selected. And I won't tell them until the last minute. That's not a good thing,
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're the king, you don't even say sorry. You go harder. You double down and say, you know what? Not only am I not going to show up to the All Star weekend, I don't even think anybody should want to be the face of the league.
Yeah.
That's some bitch ass shit.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. Now,
Yeah.
again, LeBron would never take that from somebody like me because, and even the internet wouldn't even want to hear that from somebody like me because, like, oh, what have you done? I have eyes, bro. That's what social media is. We all have eyes. We can react to whatever we see, and we can call it like we see it. Whether you want to listen to us or not, we can call it like we see it. LeBron is mad about the All Star game. He's mad and he has valid reasons, but it's all about how you go about it. He used to go about it in a way before he made the decision in Cleveland. LeBron was damn near flawless record, and people will point to that decision as the first time that he made a misstep. And you can count the missteps in his career. You can probably count it on two hands. So again, LeBron, we got to give you your credit. Like your record is damn near impeccable, but when you're the leader, this is what we do. We're gonna nitpick you. We're gonna criticize you when you make a mistake. We're gonna hold you accountable. It just is what it is, man.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get some feedback about this particular take here. But bring it
I'm
on.
telling you.
Let us know what you think here on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, Brodies. And to wrap things up here real quick, just sticking with the NBA and how like we mentioned earlier, how LeBron is playing down at Luca's there. We got a conference call here. Who do we think is going to be in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals? I'll start this off here for the Eastern Conference or Leastern Conference, if you will. In my eyes, don't follow much basketball, but from what I can tell you right now, the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers, for in my point of view, will be the two top teams in contention when it comes to the Eastern Conference Finals. Mitchell is playing lights out over there, kind of like under the radar. Like they came out of nowhere. I'm like, when the season first started, like, wait a minute, how many games did they won? So, I like how Cleveland is playing. And right now, the Boston Celtics, man, I mean, it's a cheat code over there. I mean, you got Browning and Tatum and Porzingis. That's a pretty tough big three to stop. They're one of the older teams, more mature teams in the NBA. The NBA is always going to be young because of the one and done rule. So the older teams, the more mature teams are always going to be the favorite. So I like Boston against Cleveland in the Western Conference, in the Eastern Conference Finals. I got Boston going to the finals again. And then on the West side, I got LeBron James and Steph Curry and another rematch in the Western Conference Finals. Like Steph Curry. Here's the thing: Steph Curry is on a mission because if Steph Curry wins another title, I don't want to hear nothing about LeBron James ever again. When it comes to GOAT conversations, top three, none of that crap. Because Steph Curry has won just as many titles during LeBron's run. Okay, you can talk about everybody else, about Jordan and Kobe, like how Tim Duncan won 5 during the Kobe era. Yeah, I'll give you that. Okay, but we don't talk about that because we know damn well niggas is taking Kobe over Tim Duncan any day. So all I'm saying is Steph Curry has beaten LeBron several times in the finals. He has just as many titles, and his resume could go up against LeBron as well as far as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Now, is Steph Curry top 5? No, there may be some talk there, but all I'm saying is Steph Curry is one title away from completely altering the GOAT conversation for LeBron, and I think he can do it because now that Jimmy Buckets is over there, bruh, they're what 7-1 since he's gotten there. So
At least, yeah.
yeah. So Western Conference Finals, I like the Warriors against the Lakers. Eastern, I like the Cavaliers against the Boston Celtics. What do you think, Wiggs?
Ooh, you're not too far off. You're definitely not too far off. When it comes to the East, I would have to agree. My first choices for the Eastern Conference Finals, and again, of course, this is going to come down to seeding. Right now the Cavs and Boston are 1-2, so I do see them meeting in the conference finals. Cavs have the best record, which is just very interesting right now. That like you said, they're kind of under the radar, even though they have a really good team with Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen over there. They're a little bit under the radar, but if you're watching them, they have a really good team. Two great guards and two great bigs, and they just got DeAndre Hunter to fill out the small forward position. Really, really good team. And then Boston, probably the best team, the defending champs. Jason Tatum being sat on the bench during the Olympics. Jaylen Brown not being invited to the Olympics. They've been thinking about that all season after they won the championship last year. Once the playoffs start, Boston is going to be a problem. A problem, a problem. So, yeah, I have those two teams in the finals. My runner-ups for the Eastern Finals, the New York Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks. Those two teams are really good as well. Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. And then you got the Bucks with Giannis and Dame. So you can't count either of those two teams out. Two teams out. And then for the West, I have the Lakers as well. LeBron and Luka. I mean, I talked about this when the Luka trade first went down. Uh, we saw how LeBron played with D Wade, with Kyrie. LeBron can play with talented players. Like, he's smart enough, he's capable enough, he's more confident in his jump shot these days to be a catch and shoot player. So LeBron is just, again, this is where we give LeBron his credit. We have him in the finals, So LeBron is not like you're not getting your credit, but at the same time, what are you going to do when when it comes down to that moment We have these cameras. We got this slow motion. We're gonna be able to tell if you're scared or not. So yeah, I have the Lakers versus the Thunder. I think OKC is gonna come out of the West with the Lakers. What do we have? We have Shea, Gilgeous Alexander, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, and my boy Chet. They got a pretty good team. They also got Josh Hartenstein at center because they needed some bigger players. And Shea is basically unstoppable right now.
MVP.
But when he's not on the court, when Shea is not on the court, the Thunder have a little bit of what LeBron's old teams before he had super teams used to have. When Shea's not on the court, OKC is just kind of lost. So that's
Yeah.
something that they're going to have to worry about. And then if it's not the Lakers and Thunder, the other two teams out of the West have the Nuggets with Jokic versus the Warriors with Steph. I think Steph, that's the team that nobody wants to face right now. I think the Warriors are, I don't even know if they're in eighth place yet. But the NBA has extended the playoffs to the top 10 teams out of each conference. So the Warriors will be able to get in playoff contention. And that's a scary team. And then the Nuggets with Jokic, they're the number 2 team in the West. Kind of underrated, just under the radar. Jokic is having another MVP season. You cannot count the Nuggets out with Russell Westbrook and Jamal Murray. I mean, again, things are going to get very interesting in the coming weeks. But we're kind of seeing the trade deadline it meant a lot this year. Jimmy Butler going to Golden State, Luka going to LA. We'll see what Kyle Kuzma does with the Milwaukee Bucks. Like I said, DeAndre Hunter went to Cleveland. Just a lot of moves, a lot of stuff to pay attention to.
And don't forget the Mavericks. I mean, if Mr. Glass can get healthy again,
that would be the main thing. Yep.
Yeah, but definitely let us know what you think there, Brodies. This again isn't a LeBron bashing show, but sometimes when a BAN does BAN stuff, you gotta address it. But let us know what you think here on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Here, follow us at Brody Sports Talk. That does it for today's episode. Again, like and share. Click on the bottom right hand corner on YouTube to like and subscribe. On Facebook, donate your stars for our Stars for Stars fundraiser here. To donate financial aid to local boys and girls sports clubs for financial equipment. You never know, you might be financing the next generation superstar. But until then, we will see you next week. It's the Lord Here Co-World with my main man, Jay Wiggs. We'll see you next week, y'all. Peace.
Peace.